Big news out of CIG this morning. It seems they have fully acquired the Montreal game dev Turbulent. I say game dev because Turbulent originally came on board to develop the website for starcitizen, and as they become more and more involved in developing and working with CIG, they start taking on more tasks involving such things as cloud services, persistent anti-streaming, and server meshing. So they're very much entrenched and integrated into what starcitizen is already doing. We're going to take a look at this release in a second, but I want to jump back to a 2020 release when they announced a minority stake in Turbulent. So this has been a long time coming. And what I can only surmise from this move is that CIG has worked out that it's actually cheaper for them to simply buy out Turbulent completely than continue to pay them for services. I'm not sure what the rates are, but if they have X amount of hours, they need 1,000 dev hours to create a new settlement. And they're saying, well, instead of just paying them for that, why don't we just buy them out? Because in the long term, 5-10 years down the line, when the game comes out, it's actually going to be cheaper for us to actually own Turbulent outright than continue to contract out to them. So along with a minority stake back in 2019, comments from the CTO, co-founder of Turbulent, where I'm extremely proud to officially announce the creation of starcitizen development team in Montreal, Turbulent. Now, Montreal has a rich history of game dev. Ubisoft being out of Montreal. As he mentions right here, Montreal is an amazing talent pool of developers and rich video game history. So no doubt that any game devs that might be working for Ubisoft and looking to leave or other opportunities could end up and do end up at Turbulent and at CIG, which is beneficial CIG, obviously. So this move is, I guess, well, it's surprising. I didn't know that CIG was looking to add more to their team. And with the joining of Turbulent now, they have over 1,100 employees working there. So CIG, a large company, well, they already were large, but larger, 1,100 employees plus at this point. Let's take a look at what they're saying in the release here. Hi, everyone. We have some exciting news to share with you all. After more than a decade of fruitful partnership and years working together in the trenches to build something in the industry never seen before, we decided that it was time for us to finally and officially join forces. Again, this is 100% a financial issue. It's more financially beneficial to CIG to simply own them outright than continue to contract out to them. There are no figures here for what the actual buyout amount was, but the only way I can possibly calculate it is saying if 10 years down the line, it's actually cheaper to buy them out right now than to contract out for another 10 years. That's the math behind it. So obviously very well done to Turbulent. I'm sure they're celebrating and popping some champagne right now about it, but obviously also an expensive move for CIG. No doubt we'll see some ship sales coming along soon to make up for it. We first met Turbulent CTO and CEO back in November 2012 when they just launched our crowdfunding campaign and not want to be holding a Kickstarter, they built their own website. So Turbulent came along as the web developer. But as I mentioned in the beginning of this video here, they became a core part of the efforts, cloud services, persistent anti-streaming, and server meshing. So as CIG developed and grew, Turbulent came along and said, we can do this for you. We can hire some devs to work on server meshing and contract out to you. And CIG liked that. I guess the US dollar and Canadian dollar exchange being favorable for that also. It's much cheaper to hire devs in Canada who will work for cheaper, well, relatively cheaper than say in LA or in Texas. So that's why Turbulent grew and I guess where it got to the point where it did now. With Turbulent as part of CIG core group of companies where headcount will be over 1,100, making us one of the largest independent game developers in the world. Yeah, we're going to read more about this. Let's go on to Reddit and see some of the comments over there first. But before I do, just a reminder of what Turbulent did do. Well, aside from the RSI website, the star map is something they worked also on. And I guess for a lot of you who may be new to starcitizen, have never seen this before, one day we will get to use this for its purpose. At the moment, I know it's just that for eye candy, but you know, it's very cool. It got a lot of awards actually. It shows you the small jump tunnels, the medium, the largest. You get to look around, you get to see what the space looks like. I don't think this is going to be what the final actual star map is going to be, but it gives you an idea of the scope of where they hope to take starcitizen eventually. Obviously, we don't have any of these star systems in here. Well, we do have one of them, but this is what they hope to get to eventually. And Turbulent, being one of the companies working on outposts and a lot of these planet techs, I guess this is why they came on board. So let's see what Reddit has to say about it. And I guess this is a good comment here from Aces High. Everyone thinks this is going to speed up the dev development, but I have no idea what happens when you grow like that. If anything, it'll be a reason for slow releases. Absolutely yes and no. But look, here's the story. If you're baking a cake, you have one chef to bake a cake, and you say, well, I'm going to bring in 10 chefs now. Will that cake bake any faster? The answer is no. So adding more people, throwing more people onto an issue, onto a project, onto a problem, doesn't necessarily speed it up. Now, will there be different kinds of cakes? Will there be an improvement to baking the cakes? Maybe. But adding more people doesn't mean things will speed up. And because CIG, well, here you go, CIG owned 30% already. This doesn't mean that adding more people is going to make things faster, but it definitely does add more talent onto the team. So don't expect things to speed up because of this. CIG had access to everyone there already. All this does essentially is cost savings in the future. Instead of having to contract out to Turbulent for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they simply straight up own Turbulent now, and Turbulent is part of CIG, which will have cost savings in the future. Not this year, but down the line, that's where they see it going. And obviously, having access to Canadian devs at a cheaper rate compared to US devs is definitely more beneficial in the long run for them too. Here's an interesting comment from Casey saying, next year we'll have so many versions of where to harmonize our workflows and procedures as an excuse why things are slowed down. I don't believe this is to be the case. I think Turbulent is already as much integrated into CIG as they could be from 2020 already. I don't think there's much they need to do to make it mesh any more than it is. And non-Nimbus here, I think calling it correctly, saying they've been working with Turbulent since the very beginning. If they still need to align that much again to be a sign of bad management, absolutely. I think Turbulent has pretty much been doing 90%, maybe even 99% of what they do already focused just on CIG. So it's not that they need to focus on meshing the two cultures together. I believe it's pretty much as they can be already. Yes. Award-winning star map? What? Yeah, look, I guess not many people know this exists. When this first came out, it blew our minds at how big the scope of what's going to be happening is. Obviously, nowhere close to where it is, but it gives you a clue as to how CIG is thinking it's all going to work out. I also don't see this map being something which they would put out ahead of the game, the actual map, because you're not supposed to know where the systems are. It's supposed to be an adventure in finding all these systems. So we'll see how that goes. But in any case, the star map actually did win many awards back in the day. I know now, all these years later, it's not that impressive, but when it did come out, it was extremely impressive. And yes, it did win several awards. Dexy saying, surely with over 1,100 people, we can get Theaters of War back on the shelf, right? As far as I understand, the stuttering issues and the problems they found with Theaters of War is not something that putting more people on the problem can fix. Whether they get 1,000 people, 2,000 people, again, the cake baking theory, right? If you bring in more chefs, can you make the cake bake faster? And the answer is no. But Siege of Orison was a step closer. Arena Commander, Combined Arms Act, tank battles. There are similar things coming. The lessons learned from Theaters of War, and I don't have the exact answer of why they can't make it work, but whatever the reasons are, they're taking smaller steps to getting there. So Siege of Orison being one, and the changes we saw coming up with the combined arms and the tank battles, they're taking baby steps to getting to where Theaters of War would have been. So I think Theaters of War was overly ambitious. They hit problems which they simply couldn't solve. They had to take a step back and baby step their way up to that. That's what I saw happening over there. Here's an interesting comment from Kauto saying, the expansion of the body count at CIG concerns me. More bodies to receive a salary, faster spending of money. I'm afraid they're going to grow too big too fast and spend too much too fast and run out of money. Yeah, look, that has been an ongoing concern of mine for the last 8 years already. And every year, and I keep showing you in the videos I make talking about their finances, I'm proved wrong. So if they keep on growing like they do, they keep on bringing the money like they do, then they can't afford this. But also, I would like to believe that the financial advisors at CIG who looked at this work with Turbulent said, we need Turbulent to work with us for the next 5 or 10 years. And considering what we're paying them now, it is actually beneficial to buy them out right now rather than wait 5, 10 years down the line. So I believe CIG has this right. But the question always is, can they support the new employees coming in? Can they keep feeding the mouths? Can they keep paying the salaries? And I've been saying the same thing for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and they keep on doing it. So we'll see how this year goes. I do believe there's going to be some big announcements at CitizenCon. Maybe not Squadron 42, but definitely some big ships being released. And if those big ships bring in the money like they did at the previous Kraken sale at last CitizenCon I went to, then yeah, look, they're bringing it in. They keep doing it. So if they can keep on bringing the money, then they should expand. And I guess we'll get worried when we start seeing year after year of declining revenues. If we see year after year decline in revenues and sales and disinterest in Star Citizen, which we have not seen because interest has only been growing, and keeping in mind that we'll also start seeing people from Starfield, once Starfield comes out this year, and we see a whole new generation of individuals interested in the Star Citizen type genre, we may see a big influx of players from Starfield to Star Citizen in the coming years, which will only mean more sales, more ships being sold, and more funding. So that concern, definitely one I've had for years, and you know what? They keep on bringing more money. But in any case, that is the news. So let me know what you think about this Turbulent acquisition. Was it the right move? Give me your thoughts, and if I missed anything important, post below. If you like my content, as always, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, you meatbag. I'll catch you in the next one.